Hello and welcome to Coffee, Coffee, Coffee. Today we're talking about the benefits of coffee drinking, which is good to hear.
Right.
And what inspired me to talk about this was a new study that was done in China or through China about people in the UK.
Highly suspect already.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with that.
Right. And one thing that we want to point out is that with these types of studies, there's always like so many different things in health studies. It's like, well, okay, so that person drinks 2 cups of coffee a day, but what else do they do?
Right. Yeah.
And then how many times do they go to the doctor? You know, that kind of thing.
And then like, how is the study actually conducted?
Right.
I mean, so many times like, and I think if you read a lot of studies, just like I would read a lot on weight loss, they would be so confusing because they would contradict each other. Like one would say, well, this is the best plan. Well, then this one says that's a terrible plan.
Right.
And it's like, they can be 2 different studies that say 2 totally opposite things. And it's still scientists doing it all. So,
Yeah. Who's paying for the study? Right.
well, yeah, that's another thing. Who did pay for this study?
I don't know. I didn't look that up. It doesn't really
I'm
matter.
sure if it was like a big coffee company, they would be smart enough to set up some sort of shell corporation.
Yeah. But based on the results, it was probably a coffee company and maybe a sugar company.
Yes.
Because, okay,
This is so crazy to me.
So the study, it was like 170 something thousand people over a 7-year period. And what they found was that people who drink coffee are less likely to die of any cause than people who don't drink coffee.
All-cause mortality.
All-cause mortality. And it was if you drank unsweetened black coffee like I drink.
Like a psychopath.
I am 16 to 21% less likely to die than someone who doesn't drink coffee. Okay?
Right.
But if I add a little bit of sugar, I'm like 30% less likely to die than someone who doesn't drink coffee. So adding the sugar actually increases my chances of living longer than not having the sugar.
Right.
Which is an interesting result.
Yeah, especially because, sugar right now is like public enemy number 1 amongst, health experts, let's say. Like it's just, so many people just say, oh, sugar's bad just across the board, which I disagree with, or at least, I doubt, I guess is the best way to put it. But
and what was also interesting is that they said that for artificial sweeteners,
Did you say artificial?
Artificial sweeteners, the data wasn't as clear.
Right,
so it was like, look, real sugar is what we're saying, not artificial.
Which makes sense
sweeteners.
because artificial sweeteners, like they do weird things to my system.
Yeah.
I don't like the way they taste.
It's like a war in your stomach.
Yeah.
Saccharin and I can't think of another one. Aspartame. There you go.
Sucralose.
They're all fighting here and there and that. Like your mama was an aspartame, And so those, though, they said we don't really know for sure about those. Now that could have just been that not very many British people who drink coffee use artificial sweeteners.
Right.
They might use sugar.
Right. But it was like a teaspoon of sugar. So we're not talking about like a ridiculous amount. Like I remember I used to use sugar in my coffee and it was like a tablespoon. So it's like 3 teaspoons of sugar. And so I'm sure that's, I don't know that it's not good, but now I just drink it with cream. They didn't do that, right? Like in the study, they didn't break it down.
Yeah, because I think it was okay if you added cream. There was some mention to it, but they also said all things in moderation. And speaking on that, they said that the study respondents or whatever, they drank between 1.5 and 3.5 cups a day.
Right.
So
which is a lot of coffee. It's more than I think some people would think, oh, just one, if you're going to drink coffee, keep it to 1 cup or something.
Right.
But it kind of looks like the more you drink to a certain extent, the better off you are.
Yeah. And based on the recent poll that we did in our community, the majority of you that responded drink 2 cups a day.
Yeah.
So you're right up in there. And that's typically what we drink is 2 cups. Sometimes it's 3.
Sometimes it's 4.
Yeah. Sometimes I just have 1 because I'll drink it in the morning and then I have work all day and then and I'm working outside. So I'm not like having coffee in the 92-degree heat
Right.
You know?
Yeah. But I drink, if I drink 4 or more, I do start to feel anxious. So it does seem like there may be a cutoff point where you're like, okay, this is maybe not so good.
Today we're drinking Pete's Big Bang, which is a fabulous coffee. So the study was published in the Annals of Internal Medicine just like 4 or 5 days ago is when everybody started reporting on it. And I just thought that it was really interesting to find this out. Because there's a lot of benefits to drinking coffee. I mean, we know there's antioxidants in there. So you could either eat like a whole bunch of blueberries.
Right.
Or you can have
a cup of coffee. I've also read it can lower, or it's supposed to lower heart disease risk and like diabetes risk, which I kind of wonder, based on all of that, and this is just kind of an overall theory I have about food and things like that, and I think this works with the sugar in the coffee too. I think it has more to do with people just enjoying their life and not worrying about things. Like, generally, why do people drink black coffee? A lot of times it's because they're worried about, like, what will the, cream do or what will the sugar do to my health? And so they're kind of worried about that.
I was trying to be a man.
Oh, were you?
I was like, I'm just going to drink it black.
Oh.
If Sam Elliott orders coffee, it's black coffee.
How do you know?
I don't know. I'm assuming.
We should Google that. But
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I just think, I wonder if that's one of those, because it's very difficult with studies, because it can seem like, oh, well, that's, causal, but correlation does not equal causation. So even though it's correlated, maybe there's some other kind of lifestyle thing. I mean, I know that, somebody pointed out in one of the articles we read, maybe it has to do with, if you can, if you're drinking coffee, it means you have more money. So then maybe you go to the, you get better care or something like that. But
we never go to the doctor.
Right. Yeah. And, I don't know that that's really, that doesn't really strike me as being the thing.
Right.
But I do.
Coffee's not that expensive either.
Right.
So even people who are in the lower levels of income drink coffee.
Right. Yeah. It's not like, oh, coffee is reserved for, if you have a lot of money. But I do think that there's some real benefits with coffee as far as just the people who I know who are coffee drinkers. Coffee is like a ritual. It's like a part of your day where you kind of sit down and you relax and you have your cup of coffee. Like I think it's part of the larger picture of somebody's life, where you are making time for the things you enjoy, maybe.
Yeah, that could be part of it.
But at the end of the day, if there was a study done and it pointed out the opposite of this, if it said, like, actually it increases your risk of mortality, would that make you stop drinking coffee? Right. Yeah. I think people are kind of going to do whatever they're going to do.
I think it's because of what was said in the beginning about studies. Like, you never really know what the reality is.
Right.
Like, you can't look at all these different variables.
Right.
Even if you have it in a lab, like, even if you had these people who lived in the lab for 7 years and they controlled every bit of intake that the person did, you still can't control their mind about like what they're thinking about it, because we do think that stress plays a big role in a lot of health things. So you just don't know.
Right.
You can look at maybe your stress can also affect your cholesterol and the blood counts and things. I don't know.
Yeah. But I think
so. No, studies don't normally change my mind about things.
So even though this study maybe doesn't really do anything, you could, if somebody's nagging you about your coffee intake, you'd be like, well, this new study shows that I'm actually going to be decreasing my risk of dying by 30%.
Yeah, and I saw there was also one study done maybe a year and a half ago that was on the NIH's website, another Chinese study, but it was about the reduced risk of type 2 diabetes in people who drink coffee. Yeah, so it's all out there. I haven't seen anything that says coffee's not good for you.
Well, I do know that I've seen that coffee can raise your blood pressure temporarily. Like, so right after you have a cup of coffee, it might go up a little bit, but even that has not really been shown to actually mean that that's bad. It's just something that they've noticed.
Well, I found this stuff interesting.
Yes, I did too.
Well, we hope that you did and that you enjoyed this type of content. And until next time,
keep grinding.